Hello, good morning, teacher and classmates. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to talk about the use of dialogue journals in an ESL writing class from a Vygotskian perspective. So let me share with you my screen so you can see a presentation I have designed. Okay, so the use of dialogue journals in an ESL writing class from Vygotskian perspective. To begin with, what are dialogue journals? Well, they are considered as written conversation and as a strategy to promote writing as well as effective communication. They are communication ways between the teacher and learners. These conversations can be written regularly, and it is recommended to have dialogue journals regularly, so that means 4 times or daily, 4 times a week or daily. However, the teacher decides according to his time when he is going to request dialogue journals. It is also a strategy to enable learners to write, because learners are active communicators, so they know how to communicate effectively in their mother language. However, we have some challenges. According to Peyton, we have three things to consider. To correct mistakes explicitly, so some students would like to have their mistakes being corrected in an explicit way. And otherwise, another students would write some information really personal or too personal opinions. So as teachers, we must be aware about what we are writing. So this can provoke issues of privacy and confidentiality and self-disclosure. That is what Rana mentions as a challenge to be considered. Another important point is that the time the teachers and students invest for successful use of these dialogue journals, a teacher should consider how much time he is going to spend by answering or giving feedback to his students. Even we have challenges, there are a lot of benefits when writing dialogue journals. For instance, according to Linnell in 2010, there are three main benefits. The perfect tools, well, they are perfect tools to deal with large groups, so the teacher can read each journal quietly at home. However, this might mean more time the teacher outside the classroom. Also, other students have a lot of experiences, of life experiences, so they would like to share with the teacher and sometimes with classmates. Besides, it is also a good way to promote cultural, social backgrounds effectively. Also, in addition, dialogue journals promote acculturation. Writing fluency is also improved. When learners are not quite worried about grammar, they just express their ideas and feelings. Some other benefits are dialogue journals allows and increase a better communication between the teacher and learners. Hence, the students and teachers know each other better. Dialogue journals promote students' empowerment. So when writing dialogue journals, students feel more self-confident. Thus, their empowerment is highly promoted. Emotions are frequently on their writing, so dialogue journals promote affective states and higher mental functions. Dialogue journals also have theoretical underpinnings of dialogue journals. Well, dialogue journals also have theoretical underpinnings. For example, we have the Vygotskian theory. That is what this article is based on, the Vygotskian. It's a study from a Vygotskian perspective. Then Vygotsky developmental approach according to Reich. This is in 1985. So he mentioned 3 different things to be considered. An example, we have, according to Vygotsky, the notion that human consciousness fundamentally social in origin, so society is needed to live. We need society to learn. We need another person to speak, and then we can provoke learning. That human activity is mediated by material artifacts, for example, computers, physical tools, and also psychological and symbolic signs. An example, language, literacy, numeracy, and concepts. That means that all human activities are performed by using physical tools, but also promoting and producing symbolic signs as language, literacy, etc. That units of analysis for understanding human activity and development should be situated and holistic in nature. Then society, culture, and biology are factors that involve individuals' change. So society affects how an individual is learning or how individual learns. Dialogue journals are not just based on Vygotskian theories. We have also different hypotheses, as the Krashen's one is Krashen in 1982. He mentions the monitor model hypothesis. That means students express better if they do not translate before they produce it, or they produce language. Another one is the affective filter hypothesis, another Krashen's hypothesis. By avoiding anxiety, promoting motivation, and self-confidence, a learner can break mental blocks. In consequence, he learns better. Another hypothesis is Long's hypothesis. He mentioned interaction hypothesis. That means receiving input is not enough to acquire or learn a language. So interaction is needed. Society is needed to learn a language. So interaction is important. That means that just reading and listening is not enough to learn a language. In the same way, Swain in 1995 mentioned the output hypothesis. That means by producing a spoken or written language, acquisition might happen. This is not like the output. This is not as output. When a person produces language, he is acquiring also, he might acquire the language. Dialogue journal and the zone of proximal development. This refers to a higher level of difficulty in which learners are set in. This means learners need more efforts to solve a problem. They even need teacher assistance. When learners work in the CPD, they learn better. Then we can consider the CPD area like the distance between the actual development level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through independent problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. This means that learners should be set in a kind of zone where a higher level of skills is needed. However, we as teachers must consider the kind of activities or problem solving that allows students to reach a result that even if they need to use teacher assistants, they can do it. But this requires a more effort from the learner. Then a teacher should involve learners in those tasks or activities that they cannot do, but can do with some kind of assistance from teachers or peers who have already mastered the skills to carry out those tasks or activities. This was mentioned by Rana in 2018. Then, as consequence, when learners work in a CPD zone, well, the CPD, they learn better. Another important point is the dialogue journal and internalization. When we talk about dialogue journals, we relate this to internalization and intrapersonal process. That means interpersonal processes and intrapersonal processes. So this process, according to the interpersonal process, consists in intrapersonal process. The person talks to himself or herself. So that depends on who is talking to. Then the learners to write dialogue journals need to operate on the intramental plane and intermental plane. And then we can have a writing as a dialogue between you and I and me. This might sound confusing, but writers are involved in conversation with another person, even with themselves. So writers engage interpersonally conversations by talking to other people. Writers engage interpersonally conversation by talking to themselves. So we can have different kind of conversations. One, talking to another person, and second, talking to himself or herself. Dialogue journals then provoke that the students talk in an intramental plane. For example, when they are making decisions or when they make decisions about what to write. And they provoke, according to dialogue journals, they provoke interpersonal conversation when they communicate an example with the teacher. Effects on second language writing. To be in the zone of proximal development requires problem solving, but we must remember that this problem solving should be in a higher level that a learner can currently solve. So the teacher should support learners to reach their zone of proximal development by requesting to do more difficult tasks. To increase learner's zone of development, tasks require more than just current capacities. MER states four major affecting factors that might determine whether the zone of proximal development of a learner expands. Physical and emotional hunger, that's anxiety, fear, confidence, etc. Two, consequences of living in a loving home as opposed to not. Recent interaction with peers, that means interaction with another people or a classmate. And number four, the way sociocultural environments are internalized. Some research results. According to Tanner survey, learners were able to write freely. Dialogue journals allow learners to express their personal feelings. Students felt comfortable by expressing what their ideas are. We must consider that in dialogue journals, grammar is not important. We just need to express our ideas or feelings. To sum up, dialogue journals help to develop student skills. They learn, talking about students, they learn effectively. A lot of benefits come with dialogue journals. For instance, students develop writing fluency, have a good sense of communication. Communication between the teacher and students is increased. Personally, I would use it, but not too many times. That means once or twice a week. Why? Because sometimes it's not enough. Talking about the time, sometimes the time is not enough. And by talking, taking writings, the teacher can answer all journals out of the classroom. Then giving a more personalized attention. Even this implies more time for the teacher because as teacher, I would have to check and to give feedback for each one of my students, and considering my groups are composed by 50 students, I suppose it would be a really difficult task to do for me, because I have in average three groups working at high school and 3 groups also working at university. So we have some problems according to time. That means the time I give to a high school is just for the high school and that's it. The time I give to university is just for university. As teachers, we have to be really organized with our times, especially when we have a lot of groups. Then this would be difficult and a really time-taking activity. However, if I was supposed to use this kind of task, I would do it just once or twice a week, and that's it. So I will have enough time to check each of my classmates' journals. So that's it for today. This was my presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day. Goodbye.